So in the last video talking about this player, we went over all of the red flags that were apparently brought up in regards to him and his trade stock. We're talking about Winnipeg Jets forward prospect Rutger McGroarty. Because as the days have gone on, we have ourselves more conversations and more insider analyses done that really gets this situation looking more sour than before. Right now, McGroarty is still a Winnipeg Jets prospect, but there was an opportunity, according to some of the insiders, to actually see him get traded. However, this did not go through. Let's talk about why. Our source is a video clip of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Once again, this is Mike McIntyre going out there. He is a beat writer for the Winnipeg Jets who made an appearance on this show, and he had a few extra tidbits of information from the episode earlier this morning. Take a look at what Mike McIntyre says. It's a 1 minute 41 second clip. There are other teams that might be interested in McGroarty that are hearing a lot of the same things from the McGroarty camp that the Jets have heard. There also was a quote here saying that a trade for McGroarty fell apart this weekend because the team trading with the Jets did not like what they had heard from McGroarty's camp about guarantees over ice time and a spot in the NHL. Rutger McGroarty, everybody, is making things a lot worse. It's entirely worse now. Here we are seeing a 14th overall prospect doing... Do I want to say it's like the Lindros? No, not really. It's not the Lindros Cutter Gauthier thing. It's more so a guy really demanding NHL projectability right away based off of some of the comments and insider information we have been receiving here. In the last video, we had heard that McGroarty was not really a fan of the way that Winnipeg has developed their young guys in the past. Cole Perfetti, lulled. Ville Heinola, lulled. A lot of guys rotating around in this forward core and defense group that were young, but were never really given prime opportunities to build upon their profiles as prospects. You can say that there's reasonable justification for a player to say, yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that. I don't think I'm actually going to have a career here. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit with the way they want me to develop because the track record they have isn't all too great and I don't agree with what it is they want me to do. That's one thing, but the way in which this has been described to us is a lot different. It's less, okay, I'm scared of the Winnipeg Jets development plan, and it's more so, I want to be in the NHL this upcoming year. I want this ice time. I need this ice time. I am entitled to this ice time. Of course, Rutger McGroarty is not verbatim saying these quotes. I'm just kind of paraphrasing the ideas we're hearing here. But with McGroarty expressing that he wanted NHL projectability right away, and he wanted to deviate from what the Winnipeg Jets had in store for him, it opened a door to other teams being able to enter the conversation too. And hearing out now that these other teams are saying, hey, this guy wants a job right away, we don't like that, we don't vibe with that, it's less of whether or not McGroarty is an NHL talent or not. That's up for debate. He's a very good player, had such a strong edge in scoring in the Michigan Wolverines system last year, was an agitator as well, he's a very good player. But no matter how good you are, there's a difference between expecting an opportunity and being willing to work for it. Not saying that Rutger McGroarty doesn't work hard, he does, but some of these ideas that have been tossed out there, especially to the point now here, where we have learned that there was a trade for McGroarty on the weekend that almost went through, but the team that was acquiring him said, hey, this guy's attitude is getting in the way. It's less of whether or not he'll actually make the team, it's the fact that he's so adamant that he deserves that spot. Let's go out there and read some of the comments on the Winnipeg Sports Talk video clip, as well as on the different subreddits that this was posted on, because it does open the door to some interesting discourse regarding McGroarty and the situation. One of the top comments on the Twitter video says this: I don't think this is really earth-shattering news. McGroarty would rather play in the NCAA as the captain of a top team than in the AHL next season. That's his prerogative, and it's likely better financially. Teams likely don't see an urgency to acquire him if he's going back to college. Kevin Cheveldayoff might need to pull him off the trade market until next trade deadline. Ultimately, trade value is determined by competition between teams, and right now there might not be many teams vying for the rights to a player in the NCAA next season. Maybe the Jets sign him later after all. Okay, that's a fair perspective. I don't disagree with that entirely. However, I do think that this perspective is taking away from the notice we had that said that other teams were turned off by the ways in which Rutger McGroarty projects his own career. You can say that, okay, it's good to have a player who knows his own worth and who would rather have national championship time rather than AHL time, but at the same time, this is not the do whatever you want and get whatever opportunity you feel you deserve league. This is the National Hockey League. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to listen to your team. You know, we talk about things like this in regular society, right? Like, know your worth, know your value, don't back down. If you're worth X amount of dollars, you're worth X amount of dollars, screw capitalism and whatever. Like, those ideas and that philosophy is normal for regular people talk. But if you're an NHL athlete, it's a little bit different. Like, these guys are making millions and millions of dollars to play sports. The least they could do is go to the AHL if they are told to by their team. Even if it's the Winnipeg Jets or some other team. The fact that a trade fell through because of these ideas makes me believe that it's very unfavorable for other GMs that aren't even Winnipeg. This team that was acquiring McGroarty could have been the best development team in the NHL, but if they're turned off by the way this guy's demanding NHL minutes right away, then they're not going to say yes either. Let's go over to the Winnipeg Jets subreddit and read some of the comments here. That kid's family is going to completely tank his career because they're telling him he's a superstar. Even Bedard was telling reporters after the draft that his first goal was to try to make the Hawks lineup for freak's sakes. For real, even though Bedard knew basically he was the team, he wasn't out there acting like he's owed everything. And Bedard is obviously 10 times the player McGroarty is at this point. Fire your advisor, Rutger. Whatever the truth is, minus Patrik Laine, who went to the NHL their first year? I can't think of any other Winnipeg Jet 2.0 that did that after being drafted. If I can recall, most even going to the AHL for a year. What makes this dude think he's an outlier? That's just horse crap if he's this young and making all these demands. Screw him, I don't want him in my organization. The thing that gets me, Death by Honeydew says, is the biggest thing about this guy leading up to the draft was his character, leadership, and how he could be a potential future captain. Did something drastic change then? Or did the scouts, not just ours to be clear, have a major miss here? This kid is taking the Pierre-Luc Dubois approach, I see, even worse than Pierre-Luc Dubois. Pierre-Luc Dubois signed his ELC, didn't make the team, and then went back to junior for a year. I think parting ways with this entitled young man is the best thing the Jets can do. I'm actually disgusted with his sense of entitlement. He hasn't earned crap. The Our Hockey thread is even funnier here, and, you know, I'll save some of these other comments. There's a one made by the Winnipeg Jets fan Thrill. Oh, this is actually Cody. Huh, that's Cody Severson from Canucks Army. Interesting. Better relearn NCAAs, buddy. Yeah. That's a good comment there. Dude got drafted 14th overall and is acting like he was 1st overall. The crazy thing is that his father is a retired minor league hockey player. I'd maybe expect it with millionaire parents, but you'd think that he would know the definition of earning your place. So at the end of the day, because McGroarty is saying that he's not going to sign with any team unless he plays in the NHL, he wants guaranteed minutes in the National Hockey League next season, we're getting to a point where this situation is looking so ugly that you can't really project where it's going to go from here. I mean, teams don't like this kind of an attitude, that's for sure. Whether he's good enough to play in the league or not, that's beyond the question. It's more so an indictment against his character that these kinds of demands are even being made. Out of a guy who was just drafted 2 years ago, and out of a guy who wasn't even 1st overall. Like, this is a guy taken in the middle of the 1st round. When was the last time we saw anybody who was in this position make these kinds of demands and have the team that drafted and be like, okay, yeah, great, well, do whatever it is that you want. We'll let you take over your development, not what we want. What we want doesn't matter here, it's what you want. That is completely out of the realm of realism in the National Hockey League. Maybe it's different in other industries, maybe that's how it should be in the real world, but in the National Hockey League, that's not what happens, and it's getting to a point now where it's looking pretty bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Rutger McGroarty and the even bigger red flags that are bringing themselves up, as now other teams that wanted to trade for him are getting turned off as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.